sometimes when you're writing code, the code might span more than one line. So let's take care of this mathematical operation that we're trying to do, and it's long. So Python does not like enter, like pressing enter in the middle in some expressions. It's okay in some expressions, it's not okay in other expressions. So let's just try this. So here we have result equal to 8 plus 7 minus 6 times 4 plus 7. Let's see what happens. And when I run that, it comes to the multiplication, the end of the line, and it says syntax error. Basically, it's complaining that we reached the end of the line and something is not right. So if you have a long expression and you want to separate it over multiple lines, you need to use the slash. Okay, so let's run it now, and it passed. Okay, so it didn't complain when I added this line in. So if you want to, if you have a long expression, you might want to add, you need to add the slash there. Now, this is not true when you're using a function that has parentheses. So if you are using parentheses, the parentheses tell Python that I started something and I am not done yet. So this will be, it's okay for it to have it on different lines. So here, if I move this print function, I put everything on different lines. It's okay, it will like it, okay? Similarly, this result, I'm just gonna copy it again and put it here. And instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put parentheses, and I'm gonna put parentheses at the end. And again, here, it's okay, it likes it. So if you have a long expression that you need to write, you can use the slash in the middle of it, or you can just wrap it in parentheses, and that'll work. And then again, with the print statement, it's okay if it spans multiple lines, it's okay, because we are already using the parentheses. So the parentheses tell Python where to start and where to end. And here it's telling it where to start, where to end. So Python will be okay with it. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. The next thing I wanted to show you is a little bit more options that we can do with print. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment out all this code using 3 triple quotes so it doesn't get printed each time when we're running. So let's do some testing with print. So here when I test, I want you to print me 1, I want you to print me 2, oops, and I want me to print me 3. And I run this code. Now notice that each one of the print strings came on different lines. So it seems that what print is doing is adding an enter after it is done. Okay? Just like when I said print me 1, 2, 3. Here, what it's doing, it's adding spaces. So there's some default behavior that print is doing. It's adding spaces every time it sees a comma. And here, every time it finishes an expression, printing that expression, whatever is in parentheses, it's pressing enter. It's going on to the next line. This is the default behavior. What if I want to change it? So to change the default behavior, we can use some flags. So there are arguments called the delim, the separator, and the end and step. So first of all, let's try the printing. So here I'm going to print 1, print 2, print 3, and what I want to do is I don't want it to go to the next line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want the end to be nothing. Okay. And here I'm going to say I want the end to be a period, for example. So let's run this code and see what it does so we can understand exactly what's happening. So here after it finished printing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 normal, it printed enter after the last one. Here it came and it printed the number 1. And then I said, when you're done, I want you to just print nothing. So it printed nothing. And that's why you see the 2 getting stuck to it. And then I said, when you're done printing 2, I just want you to print a period. And so it printed a period. And then I said, here it's printing 3. So the end changes the enter to whatever you specify. Okay, so this is what the end is doing. It's saying when you're done, when you end the print statement, don't press enter, press whatever is requested in here. Now, you can also use another flag called the separator. So here, let's go to the 1, 2. And if I just do that, you will see that the 1 and 2 and 3 get printed with spaces between them. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want the separator to be, let's say, dash. I want it to be a dash. So now I am saying when you're done printing one of the arguments, put a dash instead of a space before you continue. And you can also use the separator and the end in the same statement. So here I can say the separator is dash and the end, for example, is, let's say, an exclamation mark. And so now it printed 1 dash 2 dash 3. And when it's done, there's nothing after the 3. So with no separator, it printed what it ended it with, what I wanted it to end with, which is the exclamation mark. And then it went to hello. So this is a nice way when you're doing formatting. You have a big sentence to print. You can use this formatting, and we'll practice more on the formatting. On other things that we can use are in printing, things called escape characters. So here, if I'm printing, and let's say I want to print 1, and then, for some reason I want to print 1 and enter, or here I want to print hello, and then I want to print like enter, or I'm printing a letter, dear cat. I want to press enter. Instead of, closing it and then coming back and saying print, you can do it all in one print. So I can say dear cat, and then /n is an indication. It's a sequence that tells Python I want you to put an enter in there, a new line. So dear cat, and then I want to tab my first line, so I can do /t, welcome to class, for example. Let's see how that gets printed. Okay, so here, dear cat, and then /n means new line, went to the next line, and then I said I want a tab, and so it added a tab for me, and then I said welcome to class. So these are called escape sequence. The reason they're called escape sequence is that instead of printing n or treating n as the character n, I'm treating n as with a different meaning. So I'm kind of escaping the real character n and giving that character now a new meaning, which is new line. The next thing I want to talk about is formatting numbers. Sometimes when you print numbers, they show up with all these decimal points. So for example, if I am printing, let's say I print 10 divided by 3, and I get this huge number. And if this is like an amount of money, like, this is money, so let's print it as money. So I want a $sign before it. I'm going to say, like, you're going to pay, you will pay. Okay. And then here, let's just try that, and you'll see that there's an extra space. We don't want a space here. So I need to use the separator to say don't separate it. I'm going to say don't separate them with a space, so use nothing for the separator. So here I'm showing this, and this is not, an amount that you want your program to show to the user. You want it to show $3.33. So sometimes you want to format numbers, and there's a lot of formatting. The most common one that we are going to be using is the first one, which is the point2f formatting. So there's a function called format, and the way it works is that you give it 2 arguments, a number and a format specifier. How do you want me to format this? And what it does, it takes the number, formats it the way you want it, and gives you back a string. So again, notice that it's going to give you back a string. So here, if I want to, let's say I have a value, and it's 10 divided by 3, and I want to print this value. So now it's showing me 10 over 3, which is this. Now I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be formatted. So I'm going to say format this number, and I want 2 digits after the decimal. So I'm going to say 0.2f. And what this is saying is that this is a decimal number. I want you to format it to have 2 digits after the decimal. So 0.2 makes it have 2 numbers after the decimal. If I wanted it to have 5 digits after the decimal, I would say 0.5f. So this will format it with 5 digits after the decimal. Okay. Now, again, this is a string. So if I say the type of value, I will get that it is a string. Oops, we didn't print it. Let's print it. I want you to print the type of the value. So it gives me back that it's a string. So the format gives you back a string. So this gave me back a string. What if I don't want it to be a string? Well, what we can do is after we do the formatting, to f, what I can do is convert it to a float. So I'm not going to convert it to an int because I have decimals here. So I'm going to convert it to a float. Now, if I say print me the type of value. So here I get a string. Here, what I want to do is I want to convert it to a float. So I converted it to a float first. I will get that it is a float. Okay, so here I'm getting that it is actually a float. And because it's a float, I can do mathematical operations. I can say value plus 5, for example. So now I get 8.33. Because it's a number, I can do mathematical operations on it. Now there's a lot of other formatting. You can format things to be like an exponent, in scientific notation using the E format specifier.